Kevin's journey from incarceration to entrepreneurship is a powerful testament to God's transformative grace. Through his art, he shines a light on important issues like racial dynamics and the complexities of the human experience. Scripture reminds us that we are all God's handiwork, created with a purpose to do good works that he has prepared for us in advance. Kevin's dedication to his craft and his service in the community, his commitment to using his talents to the glory of God. His story shows how God can turn our struggles into victories, right? Allowing us to rise above our past and embrace a new identity in him. The incredible transformation reminds me of scripture in Isaiah 6:13, where God promises to give us beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Kevo's journey from inmate to successful entrepreneur is a powerful example of God's redemptive power and his ability to bring beauty and purpose out of difficult situations. Kevin's story is not just about personal achievements, but also a reminder of the potential for transformation that lies within each of us. Through faith and obedience, God can take our lives and create something amazing, making us vessels for his glory. Let Kevo's story inspire us to pursue our God-given passions and trust in God's plan for our lives. From Romans 8:28, it says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.
Well, with a little bit of everything I've been saying about the diversity part of it, because diversity is not just about skin color. Diversity is about age, gender preference. You know what I mean? Your who you date, who you don't want to date. Diversity is big, and the art world is the most accepting world of it.
This is Sheila's Take, a podcast where you can hear my take on everything: love, hate, relationships, family, and today's issues with a godly perspective. I'm your host, Sheila Dunbar. Thank you for joining me.
All right.
Welcome to today's episode of Sheila's Take. I am so truly inspired to have a guest join us today, Kevo. Hailing from Houston, Texas, Kevo is a multi-talented artist whose work encompasses painting, theater production, and writing. Through his art, he fearlessly explores the intricate dynamics of race and the human experience. As the director of Kevo Arts Studios, a nonprofit organization, he actively promotes the arts in his community. Kevo's remarkable journey from incarceration to entrepreneurship has garnered him much attention and praise, even being featured on Fox 26 News. His determination and success as the owner of a thriving tattoo studio has earned him a respected position in the industry for over a decade. With a background in stage plays and filmmaking, Kevo brings a unique perspective to his artistic endeavors. His impactful storytelling can be found not only on canvas, but also within the pages of his published books. Recognizing his contribution to Houston's artistic landscape, the mayor proclaimed April 6th as Kevo Day, honoring his valuable contributions to the community. So get ready to be inspired by Kevo's compelling story and remarkable achievements as we dive into today's interview. Welcome, Kevo. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. How you doing?
I am good. I thank you for taking the opportunity to stop by my little podcast and share your journey and bless us with your story. I so appreciate it.
I thank you for having me. It's all love. I cannot wait for what the year has in store. Like I told you before we started recording, I just finished two stage plays last year, and I'm ready to get those out to the public and get everything going. I'm just very, very excited about that.
Well, we're gonna get back. We're gonna jump into that, but I want to just kind of like start at the beginning and ask you a, question about your journey. If you can share your journey from incarceration to becoming an entrepreneur and
Yeah,
an acclaimed artist, like how did
yeah.
that navigate? How did you navigate this transformation?
I think honestly, like at this point, I've done so much after jail that it's hard
Mm-hmm.
for me to think back to that because I got out of jail in 2006. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
it's been a very long time. Since then, I've graduated with 2 degrees. I have my master's in fine arts. I have my bachelor's in painting
Mm-hmm.
and art history professor. I am at a college. I teach art appreciation. I teach drawing and painting. I've owned my own tattoo studio. So the aspect of my life of going to jail, that small part, to be honest, in short, I was a product of my environment,
Right.
and I just had to change my mind and my mentality to break out of that environmental thinking. That's really what I had to do to
Yeah.
get where I am
Yeah.
now.
Now, you said you teach at a college. What are you teaching
Yes,
right
ma'am.
now? What are
I
you
teach
teaching?
art
Mhm.
history, art appreciation. I teach drawing and I teach painting. I'm not a full-time professor. I just teach at different colleges as an adjunct, like whenever they need someone to fill in, because I'm very the way that I operate, as long as I'm
Mhm.
doing something that has to do with art, I can do it. So it doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean?
Were you always focused on art? Like when you were a little kid, did that was that something that you had a passion for, or did you establish
Nah,
that later on?
nah, I think out of all of the arts, maybe being a thespian, like maybe that's about it. But other than that, like drawing or painting, nah, I picked up on that as a teen, really, not as a
Mhm. Okay.
child. I started painting actually, drawing when I was a younger, like teenager, but painting, I didn't paint. I didn't do my first painting until I was 27 years old.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Now, your art focuses on racial dynamics and human experiences. Can you
yeah,
kind of elaborate on the themes and messages you aim to convey through your paintings and your
definitely.
theater productions? Because
Yeah,
I
because
know
it's the
you
same
you write
thing. It
plays.
goes the
Yeah.
same
Hmm.
way. So to elaborate on that, I'll say this. I'll say that in terms of the racial dynamics, right? I feel like I just did a stage play. It was called Vincent,
Hmm.
about
It was.
Vincent
I'm
Van
sorry, Vincent. Okay. Oh,
Vincent. It
yeah.
was about Vincent Van Gogh. And I was getting a lot of flack prior to the play from both blacks and white people, and even some people in my cast and crew about the idea that Vincent's not black, like
But it's.
I'm playing Vincent Van Gogh in the actual film.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so yeah, I was saying that I was getting a lot of flack from people in comments, and last year it was weird. I experienced so much racism last year that
Hmm.
in the Vincent Van Gogh play, I was playing Van Gogh, and it turned from like people were saying, "How can you play Van Gogh? You're black." It went from that into them actually seeing me play Van Gogh and portray him. They didn't know I could paint with both hands. You know what I mean? They didn't know I
Right.
could finish the Starry Night painting in like 30 minutes. It went from that to nobody else could have did this except you. So in terms of my art, like covering different racial dynamics, it goes in different ways. It goes in a way that to show that art is a diverse world,
Hmm.
the entire
Yeah.
world for one. And in terms of my other play, it's called What Do We Do Now? It is, oh my god, it is like, what do we do now should be in schools because it shows the
Really.
timeline of Black history from the 1940s into the 2000s. And I created a play in theater format in 2X that shows all of these different experiences that Americans go through that are oblivious to others, but it makes when people watch it, I definitely have a diverse audience. So when my white
Hmm.
audience watches it, I felt like they were absolved in a way. And I felt like when my Black audience watched it, they just were so connected. One of the characters in particular, Eddie, which is the son in the play, he just experiences so much confusion that Black men go through as a child. Like, what do we want to be? You know, do you want to be in a gang? Do you want to do this? And then the daughter has to deal with sex trafficking, and she has to deal with like people, you know, her growing up and breaking her virginity, just things like that. You know, so much is touched. The KKK is touched. You know, the impact that the Jewish community has had on African Americans is touched, and I just talk about so much from a family perspective that although both of those plays are produced by a Black man, it's different racial dynamics involved in each. So that's what I mean when I say my art ranges from racial dynamics to like human experiences, because a human experience is just things like love and hate, stuff like that. So that's a more simple way to put it.
But you this is just in your community though. You need to take this on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I'm getting global. I feel like my writing is not typical. That's one of my things. I don't like to use the word hate, but I really dislike that about Vincent. People love the Vincent Van Gogh play so much. After the play, I realized that the majority of the crowd was not Black. And that really bothered me that so many Black people couldn't see that excellence. Like it was almost as if I look into the crowd and it's 90% of white people there, but they enjoyed it. They were in awe.
Yeah.
But you know, to be honest, it's a global, international vibe. It's not it's not small for our crowd to not be present. Like we need to see that excellence as well. So I'm looking forward to doing a screening and getting more people, you know, out to watch it, because that needs more eyes on it. It's too powerful and too special to not be appreciated in our community.
It's true. Actually, it's funny because I have a 19-year-old nephew who loves Vincent Van Gogh, you know, and it's a couple of years ago I was actually working in a fragrance company, and they were moving to a new location, and they were throwing out like I guess like I wouldn't say not actual but reproductions or and one of them was a Vincent Van Gogh reproduction, and I'm like, are you throwing this out? And I literally took it, and I have it hanging up in my house. So I mean,
that's cool.
it's like, you know, people need to be aware because art is for everyone. I mean,
it's for everybody. That's what
it touches, you know, it touches everyone, you know, and it's looking at that.
And that's what the play is about. The play is about art, is about how diverse art. At the end of the day, it's about Van Gogh, but it's a true spectacle of how art means so much to people and how all these artists go through that starving artist phase. And it just touches on it so much. And I painted everything in the play. All of the paintings, I painted them myself. So they're Van Goghs, but I painted them. So
but you painted them. Wow.
Yeah. So you looking at it on stage, it's a spectacle. That's the best word to use for that play. It's a spectacle of art. There's a ballet scene. There was a saxophonist. There was a step team. There was poetry. And, you know, these people were just in awe because they weren't expecting that. You know, when you think of a stage play, and even though the subtitle had it as a performance art, you expect the story. And the way I formatted the story was so creative that even that was one of the feedbacks I got for an award. I won awards for that script, and one of the feedbacks was, "This is the most creative thing I ever read." So I was like, "Okay,
wow,
this is accredited. People really like it."
Yeah. As a director of Kevo Art Studios and a teacher at college, what are some of the main objectives and initiatives you focus on to promote the arts in your community?
Well, I've slowed down with the nonprofit, but in terms of being a professor, I make sure I go to every networking event I can attend, because I don't want anyone to speak for art that's not an artist. So I make sure that I attend these different. I'm a part of this group called the TEA, Texas Art. I mean TAE, Texas Art Education, and they'll have all of these meetings and networking things and boards and judges and stuff. And I make sure I attend as many as I can because I'm tired of going and there's no artists there. And they allow people who are not artists to speak for children who they don't really understand. So I'll give you an example is someone will say that my child has a short attention span, but I'll say, well, how does he or she play video games? If your attention span is short, you know, or my child is not good at reading, has bad comprehension skills, and they don't realize that maybe your child can draw. You know how good your comprehension skills have to be to draw. You know what I mean? So maybe you're trying to get them to read when they need to be drawing, and that will improve their comprehension skills. And they need somebody that's an artist to say that because I can prove that this works. You know, I can prove to you that if the kids are misbehaving and you put a paintbrush in front of them, you're gonna get a quiet kid for an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the type of things I've done. I've held workshops for kids as well, especially painting workshops. They're so therapeutic for a child because they're so focused on getting the goal accomplished, like a painting of a tree or a car. And you can watch them focus, and they're aware that some of the kids may be better or worse than them. But it's the focus and the use of the brain that I really want parents to see. Like, no, your kid isn't wild and out of control. Some phases of art may be inside of them. Maybe they're a writer, maybe they're a painter, maybe they can draw, maybe they can act, maybe they can dance. You know, stop trying to force your son to be a football player. Well, he's probably a ballet dancer. You don't even know it.
That's true. That's true. You know, I it's funny. I had my son up for football. He's like, Mom, I don't think I want to do this. You know, he's on the opposite, and he's more of a gamer. His thing is, you know, he's into video games, and that's what you know.
And that's another thing about video games. The graphic art portion of that and the tech portion of that is something that parents need to consider because there are always workshops. I'll say this: the thing about a lot of Black youth, we grow up to be adults out of the know, and we start to repeat things that we don't know the reason for repeating them. Like even getting an education or being into STEM. And the thing about these making straight A's and making good grades and all of that, the really big deal that I found, me being in education, is that straight A students are getting the funding. That's the big deal. It's not a racist matter, it's a merit matter. Because I've seen paperwork on, you know, our demographics and how poorly African American boys are doing in school. And over the years, how African American girls have declined drastically, and Hispanics as well, where Asians are doing better. And it's like, why would I take this kid with these C's and give them a chance for a BEI or, you know, affirmative action when I can give this straight A student a full scholarship?
Exactly.
And people start to think that it's racist, but it's like, no, you need to be telling your kids, like, you know, this is another. You can't just be like, hey, you need to make straight A's. You know, hey, you know, if you really want to do this, I know little girls have said they want to be nurses, little boys, they want to be architects, or they want to be into tech. They've had these big dreams, but they don't know why they need to make these grades. And I think we need to start adding that in there. Like, you know, your grades are better, you know, you're going to be able to do that for free. Somebody's going to pay you to do that. You know what I mean?
Versus
just telling them, hey, you better make good grades or I'm gonna take your game from you.
Right. No, but there's, you know, there's a reason, like you said, that you know, well, why do I need to make grade A's? Well, you know, if you want to get in that school, if you want to do this, that you know, you have
put them in the know.
It's a goal.
Put them in the know. Put them in the know because you said you wanted to be a nurse. You said that. You know you didn't say you wanted to work at McDonald's when you got older. You said I want to be an architect.
I want to be a doctor. Yeah, I want to be a doctor. You definitely can't be. You listen. I'd rather go to a doctor that has straight A's than a doctor that has C's. So come on.
Exactly.
But you know, I totally understand that. Now
just make them more aware early.
Exactly. You were success. Do you still have the tattoo studio, right?
Yeah, that's where I am right now.
Okay.
I'm at my tattoo studio. Yeah.
First of all, I love tattoos. I'm on my 10th one already. You know, I love them. So more power to you. But what are some key lessons or insights you have gained from running a business in the art industry? Because I mean, the tattoos are part of the art
Yeah,
industry.
I think that it's still service though, because the tattoo business is it's different than it's service, because you just have to choose your audience, because you can make a lot of money with an audience that wants cheaper work because it's more of them around, and you might make a little less with audience that wants quality work because it might be one of them a month. So my biggest lesson was that, you have to choose what you want as a customer. You have to really choose who you want. If you want to cater to this, you got to cater to what it comes with, what you might expect, and the type of things you may not like. And if you want to go on the other end, you got to be ready for your presentation to be on point, if they ask you these particular questions and all of that. I think that a lot of tattoo artists, like, one thing I've noticed is that, especially with up and coming ones, this particular society we live in today is very entitled, and people think that they can just open a business and then people are going to support. And what I found is, like, I haven't met in so long, and I'm not even trying to be funny, I haven't met an artist that's won an award in so long.
Really?
When I first started out, I would meet artists all the time. Like, yeah, I won this award at this expo. Yeah, I did this. And it's like, even at the expos, they're canceling some of the awards because the work has been so mediocre, or they're just not hosting the event because they only have 3 people competing. Or one.
But let me ask you a question. I'm going to stop you. Are you talking about tattoo awards or
tattoo
really?
awards? Yeah.
Wow.
So the next expo, I haven't been to an expo in like 2-3 years. I've been busy making movies and stuff, but I plan to go on one this year. But I'm going to reach out to some artists, because I'm like, it's a competition at the end of the day. But it's so, like, in their head, it's like they're delusional. Like, they post online that they're the best, and they don't attend tattoo competitions or expos. They'll have awards to show. I remember my first award I won at a tattoo expo. I threw it away because threw it away. I won second place, and I was like, I should have been first, and I threw it away. So I don't even have proof of it. You know what I mean? I don't have proof of it. That's crazy. I wish I would have never did that. When I thought back on it, I'm just an emotional artist. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess you learn from your mistakes, right?
Yeah.
How do you incorporate your background in stage plays and filmmaking into your current artistic endeavors?
Can you repeat that question?
How do you incorporate your background in stage plays and filmmaking into your current artistic endeavors?
Well, I'm an artist, so it's easy to, because my art consists of writing, acting, painting, tattooing. So it's very easy to, because I get to choose what should this be. So, for example, with the Vincent van Gogh play, should this be a poem? Should it be a painting? Should I make a painting dedicated to him? And it's like, no, I should write a play. Art is just a way I'm going to express the feeling. You know what I mean? So my background, with me growing up how I grew up, with me being in jail, with me being shot, with me, selling drugs and stuff like that. My background is the core to, like, what I've been through. What, if you could measure what it took to get me here, that's my background. That's what's amazing about it. It's not that I've been through it, because a lot of people have been to jail. A lot of people have been shot. But it's like, you did that, and you also said, okay, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to go to school, and I'm blah, blah, blah. So what I've been through has made me the type of person I am. So I can take that, and I can have no judgment when I'm doing, when I'm working with people. I can take that, and I can have a hustle when business is slow. You know what I mean? Yes. And I can also take that, and then I can be aware of when people are trying to mess over me. So it's a lot of ways that my background has helped me. But those
Wow,
three in
wow.
particular, you know, not judging people, because you never know, man. You never know. You know, you never know their perspective.
Have you ever have you thought about maybe, okay, writing a play or about your life?
Nah, I would
No?
prefer a documentary. I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's the best way to express it. That's why I said that earlier. It's like, how do you express that? My life, maybe a book. I think a documentary would be better, but you just have to
Okay.
figure out the way to express it artistically. I write songs and stuff, but it's for certain things. So maybe, let's say I'm inspired by a conversation. What inspired me about that conversation? And the more I get to thinking about it, the more I get to say, how can I express that? And that conversation may create a movie. That conversation may
Right.
create a painting. You know what I mean? It may create a painting. It may create a drawing, a watercolor, a sculpture. You know, you never know. But that's how that goes. But with my own life, I definitely want to do a documentary one
Oh, okay. I'm gonna be looking out for that.
day.
um, now your books have been published and recognized. Can you tell more about the subject matter and the themes explored in your writings?
Yeah, I've written more, but I just haven't published them or sent anything
Mm-hmm.
out because of I've been focused so much on writing movies. But um all of my everything I've ever published has a cultural a, a cultural vibe from an African
Mm-hmm.
American point of view, because it's something that I wanted to highlight in our culture. So creatively, I don't like to imitate stuff or mimic things. I like to be, I like to still be an artist. So one book I wrote, Coel's Diary, when I was very young. I was in my early 20s, and I think I forgot what I know what inspired me. I was going to get to that, but I forgot what I was about to say. What inspired me to write it was my favorite photographer, Gordon Parks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he had
He's amazing. Yeah, he was
when I was
amazing.
younger.
Yes.
Yeah, when I was younger, I would always look through his stuff. I read his
Mm-hmm.
book, and that inspired me to write Coel's Diary. His book is called The Learning Tree,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's
I've
a
read it.
great,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great example of my love for art that I mentioned earlier. Is that my love for art is how diverse art is. And Learning Tree is a book about how these black people lived in this white area, and they were blaming each other for things that they weren't doing. And they were
Mm-hmm.
just taking it the wrong way. And all they had to do was come together to realize, what the issues were. So that had a big impact on me in my life. Like that book, I can remember that
Yeah.
book made me grow up thinking that, hey, you know, you're going to hang around people of other nationalities, like, you know what I mean? But you're still, even though although I'm rooted in African American and love for my people, you're going to hang around this stuff. So when
Yeah.
I write Cole's
Mm-hmm.
Diary, it's a story about a girl who's best friends with a football player, and a football player gets killed by a cop. And the girl kind of spirals her life. Like, she goes on and live her life for the next year, and then she finds out, she starts after something traumatic happens to you, people start to come in your life to help you out, different family members and all of this. And she slowly started to want to get to know her, who she was more. So
Mm-hmm.
she went to look up, different things about her family. And then she found out that her actual dad, it's a black girl, that she found out her actual dad is white. And that's a great example of being inspired by the learning tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
always published something that's like rooted in African American drama, or
Mm-hmm.
our cultural lifetime here in America, but it's always been from a very diverse point of view. It's never just been like, all right, except with the exception of a letter that I published. I published a letter, I think it was in 2009, 2010. It's called The
Mm-hmm.
Absence of Color, which is funny because after Absence of Color came out, it's like the world start coming out with stuff similar to it. So that's why I believe in parallel thinking, because Hidden Colors came out like 2 years later, and it was about the same exact thing, about how they hide stuff Like, how about, I don't want to call it day, but like our educational system is like modeled to like get you to your workplace when, you know, there's some valuable stuff in history that you should know about your own culture. And I felt like a lot of Black people should know that. So I wrote it. I wrote the letter.
Okay. You being honored with your own day in Houston is a significant achievement. Can you share the impact this recognition has had on you and the ways in which you strive to continue making a difference in your community?
Yeah, you're talking about having my own day, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
come on.
yeah,
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah, that's big. But I got it last year. So, but my way of celebrating it this year is going to be, I'm going to have a screening of my play because I recorded my play. So people who haven't seen the play, they get to see the play at a theater. So that's I'm gonna keep that going. I'm gonna try to keep that tradition going. Kevo Day, we're gonna show some of my movies at the theater every year.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. That's good. How do you believe art can promote a positive change and contribute to important conversations like racial equality and social justice?
Well, with a little bit of everything I've been saying about the diversity part of it, because diversity is not just about skin color. Diversity is about age, you know, gender preference. You know what I mean? Your who you date, who you don't want to date. Diversity is big, and the art world is the most accepting world of it. And it's one of the things I really hate about how Hollywood gets molded sometimes, because it comes off as if, now I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but sometimes it comes off as people are living wrong. And we don't, and I'm like, I don't even know these people. So you don't know what they got going on. But so I can't judge them. But if they are doing wrong, they are doing wrong. But I say that to say that art can influence that positively by connecting people together, because that's the only place where you can, let's say if I did 3 movies in a row, where I could take an old woman and she could be my main character in this one, she could be my extra in this one, and she could be a supporting role in another. You know what I mean? And 3 different people.
Right.
And you don't get that diversity anywhere else in most working worlds. You have to be you. And it gives people the opportunity to work together collectively on the same page and get stuff done. And we miss out on so much when we try to keep it all separate. We wouldn't have got, I don't know what your favorite movie is, but my favorite movie is Pulp Fiction. And we would have never got Pulp Fiction if Quentin Tarantino was racist.
you know, it's funny because that was a good movie, but actually my favorite movie years ago, and I saw it when my dad took me to see it, was with Diana Ross, Lady Sings the Blues.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, we need everybody from the light person to the editor to the videographer, cinematographer, the director. It's a collective effort. You know, that's why I love art so much, because it's like it forces people to be like, yo, we can do this. Like, we can make something great. Like us. It definitely pulls people together. It doesn't. It's like I draw the line. That's why I really dislike racism so much, because it's like, this is where I draw the line. Like, you know, this is a safe space for all people to enjoy something that we all created in this world that most people call by God. It's like an imitation of it. You know, we get to, that's the biggest honor. That's what creating is. A second to a woman. After you have a God, you have women who create stuff. You have artists. You know what I mean? That's the biggest imitation. You create life, and then you create things. And this world revolves around us creating things that we all use. This phone, tripod, technology. You know what I mean? It's so much, but yeah.
Yeah. Now I know we talked about your play that you just finished. Do you have any other upcoming projects or exhibitions that you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Adam's Apple. I wrote a play called Adam's Apple, and it's about the descendants of Adam and Eve, and it's gonna show in Houston in November this 2024.
Wow.
Super excited about that. And I had announced that everybody who got early tickets to my last play, Vincent, as long as they got them before December, which is only like, it was only like 20 people. I told them they were free to the next play, to the Adam's Apple. So I'm excited about that play because it's so funny and creative, and I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Wow. Wow. That it sounds good. It sounds good. What advice would you give to aspiring artists and entrepreneurs who may be facing challenges or setbacks on their own journey?
That is tough advice because I don't have the mentality that things are a setback or a issue because I'm a fighter. And so I guess my advice would be to not make excuses to get stuff done. Because it's like I don't get writer's block, you know what I mean? I don't get artist block. So it's very hard for me to advise people to create because it's normal to me. But I did have to I will advise this for people who share that in common with me, for those go-getter type people. I'll say this. Don't expect people to be like you because you'll get disappointed a lot. Because these people, your brain, you're trying to create all this stuff and you're trying to get it perfect and you're trying to do this, and you're trying to take on an endeavor, and people won't move with that energy because that's not them, you know. So I always had that issue of what it is at its root. It's a loneliness at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's really a loneliness. So don't be afraid to learn to live with that aspect of loneliness that, you know, in some of your endeavors, people are not going to be willing to go hard like you. It's not a priority to them. Even if you hire them, you can't expect them to go above and beyond. I'll say that.
Well, it's funny because I heard somewhere, I don't remember who said it, but it's like you cannot expect someone to have to be more invested in your vision, your dream than you are. You know, so and you're right, no one's gonna go as hard as you are. I'm one of those people, you know, I'll get up at 4:30 in the morning to do what I need to do my podcast, to do my editing, to do what I have to do. But I know I can't depend on someone else to do that for me because it's what I want to do. It's my, you know, it's my passion. It's not someone else's passion.
That's
So
why I called it
definitely,
lonely. That's why I call it lonely.
You know, it is, but it's your passion because you still love doing it. You know, regardless of what's going to happen, you're still going to do it because it's something you want to do. But here's my last question. I want to know what you are grateful for.
Oh, my daughter, my woman, you know, my wife, my kid, my other daughter, you know, my family, because it's honestly, that's the unlonely part because I've deleted a social life so that I can work more, create my own art. You know what I mean? And you know, so they're my assistance of that loneliness that I described earlier. You know, they're the fulfilling, the redeeming fulfillment. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, Kevo, how can my audience, if they're in Houston or they're visiting Houston, how can they see your plays? How can they see your artwork? How can they get in touch with you if they want to buy tickets for some? You have a website or Instagram?
Artbykevo.com has everything. My Instagram is Kevo Arts. Kevo like Kevin, and then ARTS. And that is all.
That is all right. Well, I thank you so much for coming on Sheila's Take today, and you are doing some great work. Continue doing it, and I look forward to seeing your documentary, and I look forward to you know, being worldwide with your
No, for
movies
sure,
and your
for sure,
plays.
for sure.
I'm expecting that, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to. Maybe I can get a screening somewhere you are. I'll figure it out.
Hopefully, because I'm really, I really would love to see, the Adam and Eve one. That sounds really
I hear that
amazing.
a lot. People tell me that all the
Yeah,
time. I can't wait for Adam and Eve. I can't wait for Adam and Eve. But it's called Adam's apple. They say that. I want
Adam's
Adam and
apple.
Eve. I want
Well,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't wait for Adam's apple.
Okay, okay. For sure,
All
for
right.
sure. So,
Thank you so much again, Kevo. I appreciate you.
all right, thank you.
Join me next time where I will continue to discuss more of today's issues. I'm your host, Sheila Dunbar. Blessings to you.